frames. Let me go over actually Nortech. So Nortech is a frame manufacturer. We primarily manufacture, this thing is freaking loud. We primarily manufacture static frames. So I'm kind of in competition with myself. So we are trying to put half of our shop out of business with these things. So we really believe in eco frames, clearly, since we're actively trying to shut down half of our building. So Nortech's the largest frame manufacturer in the States. We weld up probably 1,000 frames a day, stretch 1,000 frames a day, and then eco frames as well. Make roller panels. Somebody in here uses our roller panels, I think. Who's a roller frame user? Yes. Yeah, roller frame user uses our panels. I really don't know why I'm here. Most everybody here uses our stuff already. I'm just ready to go because I love public speaking so much. Make screen racks, carts, squeegees, coders, a couple locations for restretches that do not apply to Canadians because you don't want to ship us frames. Eco frames. So these are an alternative for people that don't. They're in a remote location. They're far away from restretching. They want to have more control. Somebody was talking. Keith was talking about. You order up these frames. You're not checking tension. You get these frames and they're new, so they're probably good. There's a ton of variables, and when you switch to something like this, all the tensioning and things are dictated by the size of the panel. So we make specific size panels for specific mesh counts, thread diameters. So Keith went over the different thread diameters of different mesh. So we might make 3 different size panels for various thread diameters of 305. So all of the thinking involved in all of that, all the corner softening and everything, we handle all of that for you. So there's a few people that stretch screens here. Who are you? Static frames or eco frames or? Oh, gosh, man, everybody's using eco frames already. Okay. So we make these things in 4 different tube sizes. So anybody run rapid tag machines here? Like these little guys back here? So we make eco frames for those, make eco frames for larger format stuff. We offer them in 1 inch, 1.5 inch. These are the 1.5 inch. They're kind of the standard. They're what they're using over here. We have an HD, which Corey uses. You use the HD, right? Yeah. Those are the beefier, heavier duty, higher tension version. And then we have a HD Lite. So that's basically what Corey uses with a little less weight to it. Major advantages to these things is control. Everybody needs to control variables in their shop. And in our end of our manufacturing, we have to control how the tubes come into us. They need to be square. They need to be, properly dimensioned. The mesh that comes, we have to make sure that the mesh that comes is properly manufactured. We've got our adhesives, all the different things. Like in our end of the industry, your end of the industry, everybody needs control, and these things put all the control back in your hand. You're not. You look over at this mountain of frames over here, and there might be, I don't know, 8, 10 different mesh counts, different tensions. Those things are various ages. You have to load them up and have them shipped off somewhere to be restretched, and this takes all of that out. You have all the control, so you can immediately restretch a frame. I hope this doesn't happen, but I've been super nervous. There's a few people at Saati. Keith is laughing at me currently. There's been a few people we've been texting all week, and we found out that this shop doesn't run eco frames, doesn't run thin thread frames, which I believe Keith pointed out are extra fragile, and And we're doing all of that without testing it. So there, if some frames blow up, which they tend to do sometimes, we can show you how fast you can, you're not having to ship that frame off to who knows where to be restretched. You can just do it immediately in-house. So I'll quickly demo these things. Actually, I need a professional to come up here. You want to stretch this in? I'm just kidding. You're good. You're good. You're good. Good. You stretch. Yeah, Corey probably stretches more of these things than I ever have in my life. So let's see here. Generally, in about 1 to 2 minutes, you can restretch a frame. It honestly takes, if you think about the time it takes to pull frames out, decide which ones you want to have restretched, possibly cut the mesh out, clean the screen, all the different things you're going to do to prep these things to ship to your restretcher. You could have it done already and back in process. So super simple. Just starts with these mesh panels. I think I had mentioned. We cut and sew. This is Saati fabric. We cut and sew Saati fabric. It's all sewn. There's no adhesives. A big part, being a frame manufacturer, we use a ton of adhesives. It's one of the top, I don't know, 3 causes of frames to come back to us for restretching. So adhesive failure is huge. This completely eliminates that. And I'll touch on why that's nice later when we get to the environmentally friendly aspect of these things. So basically, you take this panel, start with your tag side facing you. So this thing, it's a mesh identification tag. So this thing says EcoFrame Saati High-Techs 11080. It tells you everything you need to know about this, and it's going to be visible, right now and weeks down the line. So white side up. We have a white thread and a black thread. White thread up, mesh tag up, roll it over one time. Black thread's facing up, stick it in the strip, center it. Can everybody see this? Should have had a timer. All right, so you just make sure your strips, your locking bars are centered. That's it. This actually isn't the right tool, but this should work. I want to stretch the long sides first. The only real reason being this thing is very straight. Frame is currently very straight. Once you apply a bunch of tension, you've seen all of your static frames. If you look at them down the long side, they have a very slight bow. The mesh tension is very, very strong. The HDs, you don't see that as much like Corey uses. So put your locking or your tool. This is the stretching side. This is the release side. So you can put these panels on, take them back off if you'd like. Change out your mesh count, thread diameter on demand. But stretch side, load it. Generally spin it around, but I want everybody to be able to see this, so I'm doing it backwards. Nothing will go wrong, surely. All right, so that was, I don't know, 15 seconds of stretching. Yes, thank you, Corey. All right, so you have a stretch frame now, and yeah, maybe 30 seconds. I don't know. Yes. Where's your little science kit? Oh. You want me to dig through your box here, right? Where is it? Is it in here? There we go. I know what I'm doing. This is stretched to 41 newtons right now. Yeah, 41. This is a 110/80, so this is crazy tight. But with an eco frame, so with all frames, like I said, we're a frame manufacturer. You bring it up to a tension, and then it's going to relax over time. So what you want to do with these and any frames is stretch them up. Give it maybe 24 hours before you coat and image them. This thing will probably, 2024 110/80 should probably relax down to about 32, which is excellent tension. One thing you can do is just, we've had times we've had to get violent with it. We need the tension to set in a little faster. We don't have time to wait 24 hours. Yep.
When I was trained on how we use these in our shop, and I've been waiting 45 minutes per side before stretching.
Oh no.
Both sides, I was told to wait 45
Well,
minutes.
are you running, what kind of mesh are you running? Is it hydro or?
125 up to 305.
So you could rapid tension most things. If you start having issues with, the only time we tell people to slow down is maybe if you're running hydro. You know, as they've talked about before, hydro mesh is a lot thinner thread, yeah, just rapid tensioning that is a bit more dangerous. This, I may have grabbed a 110/80 micron because it's you can get violent with it and not rip it in front of a bunch of people that are staring at you stretching a screen. So this was strategic, but yeah, it's super tough stuff. If you need to get, that was awesome. Yeah. If you need to, I don't recommend walking on your screens, but if you really need to get the thing, yeah. Oh crap. This guy has a lot of questions. Who is that guy? But that 24 hours should have just been cut down to, yep, 35. So yeah, it's on its way down. If you need to jump a little bit more, whatever. Don't wear boots when you do this. It's not advisable. So yeah, some of the advantages, we've gone over, yeah, mesh selection. What did you say? How many mesh counts and thread diameters do you manufacture? Do you know? Yeah, so there's probably 25 different mesh counts. Maybe most of them have two to three thread diameters. A lot of them have 2 to 3 thread diameters. So there's a huge, and then 2 different colors, 3 different colors. We stretch them orange every once in a while. Yeah. Well, so there's all of those variables that could come into play, and if you wanted to stock, I don't know, 6 or 8 of those variables, enough to cover all of your presses in the worst case, you might, I don't know, how many frames are up here? How many frames are in this shop? Do you know? Does anybody work here? No. There's probably 2,000 frames in this shop. You could probably run this place. Is there 6 presses? If you ran, I don't know, 36 to 48 frames per press, you should probably be covered. You can run like 3 different jobs. You could be setting up different jobs, changing out mesh counts, and run this whole shop with 200 frames instead of 2,000 static frames. So imagine the warehouse space you save, the savings in shipping frames back and forth. Most of you get frames restretched, I guess, or just buy new, restretched. You having to ship them, or what? I don't want to talk to that guy. He's conveniently close to his restretcher. This is not helping my situation at all. So the if you can imagine, so we're in a fairly remote location in the States. We restretch hundreds of frames a day, and a frame takes that much room in a box, right? The way these come in 6-packs, I think underneath, yes. So these things come in 6-packs, 6 and 25 packs. So we have flat packs. If you buy them in bulk, 25 of the same mesh count. What was that? Yes. Yes, the pricing is on his website. Yes. These things flat packed, we could fit 48 in a box that we ship one frame, and we're going one direction. So not only for cost, but environmental friendliness, we're shipping. We've got some customers that they order probably 500 panels a month, something like that. Big shops, maybe more. And in a box that you could ship 12 screens in, we can fit hundreds and hundreds of panels. So the cost savings, you're going one direction, so you're cutting that cost in half again. Even, I don't know, hundreds of these, probably still way less than those 12 frames. But the environmental impact in that is huge. I mean, you're shipping one direction and you're shipping 300 instead of 12. So for the same cost, the same impact in shipping and one direction. So these things are also, like I said, no adhesive. Being a frame manufacturer, again, this is a bit counterintuitive. I'm actively trying to shut down the majority of our plant selling eco frames, but we use a massive amount of space. Our stretching area is probably half the size of this building, just stretchers. It takes up a huge amount of real estate for us. We use a huge amount of glue. I think we use hundreds of gallons of glue a month, which everybody knows the adhesive used to make these things they're not friendly for our employees. We're having to pipe in air to them. The removal of the adhesive is that much worse. Yeah. I'll show you that real quick. Yeah, he wanted to know if we can take this mesh off, and on this stretcher, this is the stretch side, this is the takedown side. The method I recommend you do is stick a knife in it, and then it'll just come off, and then you buy more of them. So that's what I recommend. Saati really likes that method as well. So RB loves that also. So really, we're going to take this part off and supply knives from now on. Mm-hmm. So can you store these panels imaged, a one-color image? I would never do this with a multicolor image, unless it was, if you had a half an inch between your colors or something, you might be able to figure it out. But one-color images, we do not put this in print. You could turn off the cameras for a second, because I never said this to you guys or anybody else. But we have customers that, yes, they catalog a one-color image on a panel. They just take it down, and then they're storing this instead of a screen. You put these things on a little clip and hang them. You could store, again, hundreds of these in the space that you would store 12 screens. I don't know. Again, is anybody here that works here right now?
The owner, Jesse.
Are these like
Jesse.
Imaged frames that you guys are saving?
We need somebody that works here.
Yeah, they are.
Those are catalog screens? Okay. Sorry.
Those screens, are those catalog screens he's asking?
What's going on?
Are those are imaged screens that you're saving?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. A lot of them are probably multicolor.
What's on fire?
No. Yeah, I violated some of your rules earlier, and he was telling on me. So yes, I did. No, I did not. I might after this, but because I love public speaking and poo talk. But so I don't know what percentage of those might be one color. You have any idea? So this is really helpful. I'm glad we called you over here. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. But yes, yeah, you can store a one color image. What kind of storage time do you think you might have, Keith, on an imaged panel? How long do you think you can catalog that before you might have issues with the emulsion? Years. Yeah. Yeah, if you're doing a simple one color image, we have, and again, this part shouldn't be recorded, and we don't put it in writing, but we have a number of customers that yeah, they do that. They're cataloging one color images. I didn't say that out loud. So yeah, these are how they come to you. I showed you how to stretch them real quick. Let me show you how to take them down. I've gone over 1% of my notes. I feel good. So I may have said before, I always recommend stretching the long sides first, then the short sides. When you're taking them down, do the opposite. So you're just put it in reverse and do the same thing. The reason being, this thing was stretched to 40 newtons. There's a very, very slight bow in it, but if this thing is slightly bowed and you have a straight tool, they do not line up well. They won't grab on. So if you can see in here, your tool is grabbing onto this frame, and if you grab the bowed side first, it's just not gonna get in there. Do you?
I had no idea.
You didn't?
No idea.
What did you think this side was for?
That's what he said.
We have a video on the website.
So yeah, you can take them down, but yeah, I also do this like twice a year, so don't laugh at me at my speaking or taking down of frames. Okay. So there you go. That was easy enough. The cart decided to leave. So now that the tension is off that direction, this side is straightened back out. And you really, when you're taking it down, all you really need to do is take down two sides, the other sides will fall off. So that's it. So in 20 seconds, you can not be talking and making jokes and just do your job and get the panel off. Or you can take a couple minutes like me and then switch out your mesh. I want to switch this to a 305. It just took me 30 seconds to tear it down and another minute, 2 minutes to stretch it. So that's why that big pile of screens, other than the fact that they're pre-imaged, but you don't need near as many screens. We have some shops that run 30, 40 autos, big shops. Some of the biggest shops in the U.S. That had thousands of static screens. That once they switch to these things, I mean, they're running like 20% of the screens that they used to, because they can just restretch them like that. It's that easy, just like that. If I say it, it's true. So yeah, the environmental aspect, I think I was kind of touching on the adhesive before we switched subjects there, but so we use cyanoacrylate and a two-part epoxy that's acetone based. These things are not pleasant to work around. They put off fumes. It's a whole thing. Really, the bigger part of it is every time you go to restretch a frame, there's somebody grinding adhesives off and putting off fumes. And with this, there's none of that. So there's two advantages there. There's the environmental impact, and then three, the speed. I mean, like I said, you could stretch this thing. You watch me stretch it in a minute. Stretchers, on our stretchers, we pull a frame off about every 30 minutes. So that's why we have to have a room this big full of stretching equipment. Not that, every shop that stretches their own screens has to have anywhere near that, but It takes up real estate, it takes up time, labor. The guys that we've had ease switching over to eco frames are shops that stretch roller frames and stretch standard stretch and glue frames. It's incredibly easy compared to what either of them are doing. Yeah, so every time you go to restart, or you send a frame off to restretch, you are shipping it 2 directions, and you are paying somebody to grind adhesive and create a bunch of fumes for a bunch of people to work around. So this eliminates all of that. The panels, we've got some shops that just build it into their pricing, that have gone chemical free. They run emulsion and degreaser, and that's it. So they load this thing, stretch it up, degrease, coat, and image the thing. When the job's done, they take that knife and cut it out and recycle the thing. It's polyester. I think this is poly also, and then a nylon thread. So it's 100% recyclable. I think we already went over the warehouse space, the real estate that takes up. I don't know what building costs are in Canada, but in the States that's taking up, I don't know, 10% of this building. And if you could do that in 10% of that, 20% of that space, that's a huge savings for you. It's a crazy amount of racking. I don't think I'm gonna bother going over the mesh stuff here. I think Keith has covered that pretty well. Yeah, any questions on any of this? Does anybody want to try this? That's dangerous. Nobody needs to try this. Does anybody have any questions on this?
Do they work with MHM?
Yeah, so we have some options for MHM. If you want to reach out to me direct. Anybody else here with MHM equipment? Okay, you're the guy. You're that guy.
He only brought one business card, so.
Every question they ask repeated.
Okay. He asked if we had MHM, an MHM option, so I'll just reach out to him direct. But yeah, we can recess those pins into the frame there. Any other questions on EcoFrame yet? Advantages of the static frame over an EcoFrame? Zero. I've been trained to say 0. I mean, in all reality, you can pull the thing out of the box and just go. You could save that 1 minute, but honestly, that's it. These things perform better than most static frames. You don't see a whole lot of, you don't see a whole lot of frames that are coming to you at 30 something newtons. I mean, this is a 11080, so please don't expect the Hydro 305 to be 30 something newtons because it would explode before you got there. But any other? Yeah.
We've been using these frames for the last 2 years from now. They're really good. But the thing is, what I was thinking, when we want to take the frames off, like it has a picture on it, but it's going to do the emulsion. When we want to take off the mesh, it will shrink, right? If it's going to break the emulsion or not?
Yeah, so again, he had asked about you're basically talking about storing the panel imaged. Yeah, with a one color you can get away with it, but anything else I wouldn't even attempt it. Yeah. The odds of you lining it back up exactly, I mean, you would probably need to, fortunately these strips are the same length as the bars, so if you get them lined up exactly the same, you stretch in the same, you do this side, then this side, then this side, you'll end up, you have to do at least those things for it to not distort the image, and that's why we really recommend only doing it with a one color. We actually know, I already said, we don't recommend it, but people do it, so you can do it. Yes, you can attempt it. There's no warranty expressed or implied on that subject. So, any other questions?
You mentioned
Yeah, so the different tube sizes. So you use the HD, so it's an 1.5 inch tall, 1 3/4 inch wide. It's the super heavy duty frame. They weigh twice as much as these easily. It's what Corey uses. One of the things that I know you've mentioned is you love the weight of those things. They sink in your dip tank. I like watching Corey videos where he talks up eco frames. So if you guys would like to talk to Corey afterwards, that would be great. He has said many good things on the internet about the eco frames. Thank you, sir.
I didn't know there was a choice.
Yeah. So we have the 1 inch, which would be we make a ton of these things for like promotional printers, balloon printers, bottle printers, pen printers, whatever. And that's a little 1 inch tube, which belongs on little presses like that. Those rapid tags back there. We do a ton of those things. The 1.5 inch standard. That's these. The HD that you have, and then the HD Lite, which is kind of in between this and the HD. So that gives you the performance similar to the HD, with a lot less weight and expense.
Last question.
Last question. This better be good. No pressure.
If we're going to save the screens for the one-color job, should we do post exposure to make that emulsion last longer?
Hey Keith,
Like we're stored properly somewhere?
if he was to, he had asked if he is to save a one-color image on a panel off the frame, should he post-expose just to strengthen that stencil? Yeah.
And with the tool of breaking that down, it is possible to stretch that just enough that it will crack.
So you might not want to post-expose and make the stencil extra hard.
Pull those down to save.
Yeah. That's why we do not write that down or recommend it, but there are people doing it. Screen printing is a bit of a art science hybrid, so there's people doing all kinds of things. I'm sure every shop in here does things a little bit differently. So, all right.
Yeah. So one quick thing that I wanted to mention. One quick thing that I wanted to mention. I saw these like 6 years ago. I thought they were a great solution. I pulled up on Wednesday our percentage of sales from eco frames to static. We're at 95% eco frames. 100% of the shops that I personally set up in Ontario have all gone with eco frames. I don't think there's a single shop here that I've started without it. It's doing really well for us. One big advantage that we saw, we really pushed the Easy Way dip tank solution. We sold 48 dip tanks last year across the country. One of the biggest challenges that we saw with shops that were running dip tanks or some of the reclaim systems is that the adhesive would eventually break down the tank. So the dip tank's a fantastic tool. I'm so confident. I tell people put it in. If you don't like it, I'll do a full refund. I've not taken a single tank back in 5 years. So if you want to explore that, the eco frames make a really big difference. One challenge that a lot of shops have, that have a lot of these frames, is like, hey, I got so many of them. For me to transition to this is a big expense. So we sat down and we came up with a plan where we're going to be doing a buyback program. So if you have an auto frame, we'll pay you $8 per frame. The manual $6, and right now you get an additional 10% off at the show. From there, after 2 or 3 or 4 of the frames, because these meshes are cheaper than you guys shipping it and paying a restretch, it's a quick payoff. So we're starting to see a lot of shops transition. A lot of my really premium shops are bringing them in and they love them. They're doing well for us, and we appreciate obviously your support.
Yeah. And real quick, Polycon tape, I highly recommend it. They sell it. You want the one thing with eco frames versus a regular static frame is generally when you slide a frame into a screen rack, you have adhesive there that's protecting the mesh. These things are left bare. Use Polycon tape. You can run it through reclaim systems. You can run them through automatic washes, and it'll stay and it'll protect the mesh. So
one other thing, I don't know if you covered this, but we have clients that'll buy an LTS or they'll buy an IMA, a Trilock, and they have all this fancy equipment, $200,000 press, and then they're running static frames, and every single frame on the press, we're seeing completely different tensions. And sometimes, even within the same image, you're seeing different tensions on the left side, the top, the bottom, right? So I don't know if you touched this, but we've seen a massive improvement on setup times by introducing eco frames. At the end of the day, you guys know you're not making any money unless that press is printing, right? So the less downtime you guys have, because you're setting on setups, is more money in you guys' pocket. So it's something that you really have to think of. It's one of those hard things to really give you guys an ROI. It's easy to calculate your gas, paying shipping and all the restretching costs. But there's a huge advantage when it comes down to the uptime of your press, which I think is valuable. There's some shops that are running 3 or 4 presses, right? So if you increase your setup times by 30, 40, 50%, instead of you having to buy another auto, you can literally just replace your frames and get that same capacity. So sometimes there's more efficient ways to basically improve your output by reducing your costs and not having to hire someone else to run, or 2 people to run that press.